Deep within the Vatican archives, a document exists, the Index Librorum Prohibitorum Addendum. They are not books, they are words. 33 specific words spoken by Jesus, declared forbidden doctrine in 553 AD. Word number 17 is the most dangerous of them all. It promises something no institutionalized religion has ever wanted you to know. Immortality, not after death, not in heaven, not when the final judgment arrives. Now, in this body, in this life, in this very moment. Today you will hear all 33, but number 17 arrives in the next 3 minutes. Do not miss it, because once you understand it, everything else will make sense. 33 words of Jesus were forbidden. In 553 AD, the Second Council of Constantinople declared them forbidden doctrine. 165 bishops gathered in the capital of the Byzantine Empire. Emperor Justinian III presided over it all. He ordered the destruction of every text containing these teachings. He held Pope Vigilius practically prisoner for 8 years. 8 years, think about that. The supreme leader of the Catholic Church held captive by an emperor. For words, just for words. Why? Because one of those words, number 17, promises something that demolishes the entire model of religious control. It promises something that renders institutions unnecessary. It promises something that eliminates the need for intermediaries between you and the divine. Immortality. Not the immortality they sold you. Not heaven after death if you behave. Not resurrection at the end of time. Immortality now. In this body. In this life. In this precise instant. Let's go straight to that word. Because once you understand it, the other 32 will make perfect sense. They will be like puzzle pieces finally fitting together. Before Adam existed, I am, and whoever among you becomes like me will find that stones will serve them and fire will not burn them. Stop. Read that again. Let me repeat it because every word matters. Before Adam existed, I am, and whoever among you becomes like me will find that stones will serve them and fire will not burn them. Did you notice the most important part? Whoever among you becomes like me. Jesus is not saying he is different from us. He is not saying he is God and we are worms. He is not saying he is the Lord and we are servants. He is not saying we must worship him from a distance, kneeling, begging for his mercy. He is saying something radically, outrageously, dangerously different. He is saying we can become like him, not imitate him, not follow him, become what he is. And when we achieve it, when we awaken to that reality, stones will serve us, fire will not burn us. Think of the implications of this. If you can become like Jesus, you do not need an intermediary. You do not need a priest to intercede for you. You do not need an institution to administer your salvation. You do not need to pay tithes to buy your way into heaven. You do not need to confess your sins to another human being. You do not need rituals, nor sacraments, nor ceremonies. The path lies within you. It was always there. You only needed to remember it. Do you see now why this was so dangerous for those who sought control? But there is something even deeper, something most people overlook. The phrase I am that Jesus uses here is no accident. It is not a simple statement of identity. It is the most sacred name of God, the name the Jews considered so holy they would not even speak it aloud. To understand this, we need to go back, far back, to the book of Exodus, chapter 3, verse 14. Moses is in the desert. He has fled Egypt after killing an overseer who beat a Hebrew slave. Now he is a shepherd, tending the sheep of his father-in-law, Jethro. One day he sees something strange, a bush that burns but is not consumed. The fire does not destroy it. He approaches to investigate, and then he hears a voice, the voice of God. God tells him he must return to Egypt. He must free his people from slavery. Moses, understandably, has doubts. He asks God, when I go to the Israelites and tell them that the God of their fathers has sent me, if they ask me what his name is, what shall I tell them? And God answers with the most mysterious words in all the Bible, words that have confounded theologians for millennia. Ehya Asher Ehya, in ancient Hebrew traditionally translated as I am who I am, or simply I am. This is the sacred name, the Tetragrammaton, YHWH, Yahweh. The name the Jews considered so holy that when it appeared in the scriptures they would say Adonai instead, Lord, because pronouncing the true name of God was considered blasphemy, and Jesus. He uses it to describe himself, but not just once. In the Gospel of John, the canonical Gospel, the one that is in your Bible, Jesus uses this I am formula 7 times. 7 declarations that have defined Christian theology for 2,000 years. I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never hunger. I'm the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness. I am the door. Whoever enters through me will be saved. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, though he die, yet shall he live. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. I am the true vine. You are the branches. 7 I am declarations, each one using the sacred name of God, each one affirming a divine identity. But there is an 8th declaration, the most explosive of all, the one that almost cost him his life in that very moment. John chapter 8, verse 58. Jesus is in the temple in Jerusalem. He is debating with the Pharisees, the religious leaders of the time. The tension is palpable. The Pharisees challenge him. They ask him sarcastically if he considers himself greater than Abraham. Abraham, the father of faith. Abraham, who lived almost 2,000 years earlier. Who do you think you are, Vestir? They ask him. And Jesus responds with a phrase that stops time. Truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am. He did not say I was. He said I am. Present tense, eternal, existence outside of time. The Jews who heard him understood perfectly what he was saying. They picked up stones to kill him immediately, right there, in the temple. Why? Because he was committing the worst possible sacrilege. He was using the sacred name of God for himself. He was saying unambiguously, I am God. He was affirming that he existed before time, that he existed before Abraham, that he existed before creation itself. I am, always present, never past, never future. Simply, I am. Now comes what changes everything. Pay close attention. In the Gospel of John, the canonical one, Jesus says, I am. Only he, exclusively he. He is God. We are not. He is the way. We walk through him. He is the light. We receive his light. He is the door. We pass through him. There is a separation. It is clear. It is definitive. It is absolute. He is above. We are below. He is divine. We are human. He is perfect. We are sinners. He is immortal. We are mortal. He is the Savior. We are the saved. This is the theology that triumphed. It became dogma. It is taught in churches around the world. They taught it to you. But in word number 17, it was forbidden. They buried it in the desert. They did not want you to see it. Jesus does something radically different. He does not just say, I am. He says that you can be too. Whoever among you becomes like me. That is the difference that changed history. That is why this word was forbidden. Not because it was false, not because it was heretical, contradicting the original teaching. It was forbidden because it was dangerous. Dangerous for the system. Dangerous for the institution. Dangerous for those who had built an empire on the idea that you need someone else to reach God. Dr. James Tabor, from the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, one of the world's foremost experts on the historical Jesus, explains it with devastating clarity. What we see here is what we might call participatory Christology. It is not about worshipping Jesus as a separate, superior being, eternally distant, unreachable. It is about participating in his very divine nature. It is about becoming what he is. It is about awakening to what you always were. Participatory Christology, not passive worship, active participation. Do not merely watch from the outside, waiting for a miracle. Become what you contemplate. Do not beg for mercy from a distant God. Recognize that you are part of the divine. You always were. Now we reach the heart of the matter. This is the question you have been waiting for. What does it mean that the fire will not burn you? What does it mean that the stones will serve you? What does immortality truly mean? The easy answer would be, it is literal. You can put your hand in the fire without getting burned. You can walk on burning coals. You can survive any physical harm. That is probably not it. The superficial answer would be, it is a metaphor. It just means you will feel better. You will have more inner peace. Problems will not affect you as much. That is not it either. The profound answer requires understanding something fundamental about the nature of consciousness. Eastern philosophy has explored this for millennia. Christian mysticism has whispered it in secret. Modern science is now beginning to investigate it. You are not your body. Think about it. Seriously, stop and think about it. Approximately every 7 years, practically all the cells in your body are replaced. The cells you had at 7 years old no longer exist. The body you had at 14 no longer exists. The body you had at 21 no longer exists. Your bones have rebuilt themselves. Your skin has renewed itself. Even the cells in your brain have changed, but you are still here. Something has remained constant while everything else changed. What is that something? You are not your thoughts either. Thoughts come and go. They appear without invitation. They disappear without dismissal. Sometimes they are contradictory. Sometimes they are absurd. Sometimes you do not even control them. Have you ever noticed that you can observe your thoughts? You can notice when a thought of anxiety appears. You can notice when a thought of joy appears. You can notice when a thought of fear appears. If you can observe your thoughts, then you are not the thoughts. You are what observes them. Something is there before the thought. Something is there during the thought. Something remains after the thought. What is that something? You are not your emotions either. Anger comes and goes. It appears like a storm, intense, overwhelming. Then it passes. Sadness comes and goes. It appears like a dark cloud. Then it passes. Joy comes and goes. It appears like a ray of sunshine. Then it passes. Even love in its emotional form fluctuates, but something observes the emotions. Something remains while emotions change. Something notices. Now I feel anger. And then it notices. Now the anger is gone. Sounds, what is that something that notices? You are not your personal story either. Your name, your nationality, your profession, your marital status, your relationships, your achievements, your failures, all of those are labels. They are roles you play. They are masks you wear. But something exists prior to all those roles. Something existed before they gave you a name. Something existed when you were a baby without words, without concepts, without social identity. Something will exist when all those roles have ended. What is that something? Jesus' answer in word number 17 is clear. It is direct, it is unambiguous. I am, pure consciousness, presence without content, existence before the existence of anything in particular, the I am that God revealed to Moses in the burning bush. It is not just the name of God out there. It is the essential nature of what you are, right here, inside, in this very moment, and that consciousness. It does not birth and it does not die. Because it is not in time, time appears within it. The body appears within it. Thoughts appear within it. Emotions appear within it. Your entire life, with all its dramas, all its pains, all its joys, appears within it. And death. Death also appears within it. Death is an event that occurs within consciousness. It is not something that happens to consciousness. The body is born and it dies. Thoughts are born and they die. Emotions are born and they die. But the consciousness that observes all of that, it simply is. I am. Without beginning, without end. Now we can understand the promise. The fire will not burn you. The fire represents suffering. It represents life's trials, physical pain, emotional pain, loss, failure, illness, betrayal, everything that burns, everything that hurts, everything that consumes. When you awaken to your true nature, when you realize, not just intellectually but with your entire being, that you are the eternal consciousness observing the temporal experience, suffering loses its power over you, not because you will not feel it, but because it no longer defines you. You observe the pain, but you are not the pain. The pain is in you, but you are not in the pain. You observe the fear, but you are not the fear. Fear is a temporary visitor. You are the eternal house that receives it. You observe the illness, but you are not the illness. Illness is something that happens to the body. You are what observes the body. You observe death approaching, but you are not the one who dies. Death is the end of a temporal form. You are the eternal observer that watched that form emerge, exist, and dissolve. You are the eternal consciousness observing the birth and death of the temporal body. Like a movie screen observing, there are movies that begin and end. Movies have a beginning and an end. The screen simply base, and when you understand this, not with your mind, which can only grasp it as a concept, but with your entire being as a direct experience, fire does not burn you. Stones serve you. Death loses its sting. Dr. Karen King, a professor at Harvard Divinity School and one of the world's foremost authorities on early Christianity and the Nag Hammadi texts, expresses it in a way that cuts through centuries of theology. The Gospel of Thomas presents the kingdom of God not as a future destination you reach after death if you meet certain conditions, but as a state of self-knowledge you can achieve here and now. When you truly know yourself, not your opinions, not your beliefs, not your personal history, but your deepest nature, you know your divine origin. And when you know your divine origin, death loses its power over you. It is no longer the end of everything. It is simply the end of a temporary form. Death loses its power, not because the body does not die. The body will die. That is inevitable. But because you are not the body. You never were. You just forgot it. Now do you see why this word was the most dangerous of all? Now do you understand why an emperor convened an entire council to eliminate it? Think about it from the perspective of power. If death loses its power over you, how can anyone control you? The biggest threat any institution can use is, if you do not do as we say, you will suffer eternal consequences. But if you do not fear death, if you understand that what you truly are cannot die, that threat is empty. It holds no power. If you no longer need someone to intercede for you with God, if you can access the divine directly, because it is your own nature. Why do you need priests? Why do you need a hierarchy? Why do you need an institution to administer your salvation? You do not need it. If you can become like Jesus, if that is a real possibility, not just a pious metaphor, then you do not need to worship him as an eternally superior and unattainable being. You need to imitate him. You need to become what he is. And that changes everything. It changes the relationship from dependence to autonomy. It changes the relationship from worship to participation. It changes the relationship from submission to awakening. That cannot be controlled. That cannot be managed. That cannot be sold. That is why Emperor Justinian convened an entire council. That is why he gathered 165 bishops in Constantinople. That is why he kept Pope Vigilius a prisoner for 8 years. The Pope was held captive. He was the supreme leader of the Church. He was a prisoner for 8 long years. Because Vigilius initially refused to accept the condemnations, he refused to sign the anathemas. But eventually, isolated, pressured, broken, he signed. That is why entire libraries were burned. That is why monks were sent to the deserts of Egypt to search for and destroy manuscripts. That is why anyone teaching these ideas was persecuted, all for this single word. It was word number 17. It is the one that tells you that you can become like Jesus. It is the one that makes you immortal, not someday in the distant future, not after fulfilling 1,000 conditions, not after paying your sin debt. Now. It happens the moment you truly understand who you are. But this word was not alone. There were 32 more, and together, they formed a complete system. It was a map to immortality. Before revealing them, you need to understand the context. Where do these words come from? How did they survive 600 years of persecution? And why exactly 33? The year was 553 AD. The Western Roman Empire had fallen nearly a century before. Rome had been sacked. Barbarians had crossed the borders. The ancient world was ending. But the Eastern Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire, had remained strong. It was stronger than ever, in fact. Its capital was Constantinople. It was the city that Constantine the Great had founded on ancient Byzantium. It is the city we now call Istanbul. In those days, it was the largest and richest city in the world. It had 1 million inhabitants. It boasted marble palaces and churches covered in gold. It housed the Hagia Sophia, the largest church in Christendom. And at the center of it all stood Emperor Justinian III. Justinian was no small man. In every sense, he aspired to greatness. He wanted to reconquer the Western Empire. He wanted to rebuild Rome. He wanted to create a legal code that would last for millennia. Justinian's code still forms the basis of civil law in much of the world, but above all, Justinian had an obsession. It was to unify the empire. He wanted to unify it not just politically, not just legally, but theologically. The problem was that too many versions of Christianity were circulating. There were too many interpretations, too many texts existed, too many teachers were teaching different things, and too many words of Jesus did not fit with official doctrine. A particularly problematic group were the followers of Origen. Origen of Alexandria had been one of early Christianity's most brilliant thinkers. He was perhaps the most brilliant. He lived between 185 and 254 AD. This was nearly 300 years before the Council of Constantinople. He wrote more than any other Christian author of antiquity. He produced thousands of texts. These included commentaries on every book of the Bible. Theological treatises were among them, also sermons and letters, and his ideas were explosive. He taught the pre-existence of the soul. He taught that the soul exists before the body. He taught that you were not created at the moment of your conception. He taught that your soul is eternal, that it existed before birth and will exist after death. He taught apokatastasis. This was the restoration of all things. He taught that at the end of time, all beings would return to God. All. This meant everyone. The good, the bad, the sinners, the saints. Even demons would return, even the devil himself. There is no eternal damnation. There is only a long, long road back home. Everyone would eventually arrive. Can you imagine why this was problematic for the institutionalized church? If there is no eternal hell, if everyone is eventually saved, what incentive is there to obey now? What power does the threat of punishment hold? If everyone reaches the same destination in the end, why follow the institution's rules? Why pay tithes? Why confess? Why submit to ecclesiastical authority? The answer is obvious: none. That is why the Council of Constantinople issued 14 anathemas. These were 14 formal condemnations. The first one stated, "If anyone asserts the fabulous pre-existence of souls and asserts the monstrous restoration that follows from it, let him be anathema." They called it monstrous restoration. That is what they called the idea that everyone returns to God. Monstrous. God's infinite compassion, which never abandons any of his children forever, was declared monstrous. It was anathema. Cursed be anyone who believes it. But Origen did not invent the doctrines they condemned. Origen claimed to have received them from an older tradition. It was a tradition that dated back to the earliest followers of Jesus. It was an oral, secret tradition, passed from master to disciple. A tradition, this truth was preserved in texts the official church did not control. Texts like the Gospel of Thomas existed. It was December 1945. This was 392 years after the Council of Constantinople. World War II had ended just months before. The world was trying to rebuild after the worst slaughter in human history. No one paid attention to a small village in Egypt called Nag Hammadi. An Egyptian peasant named Muhammad Ali al-Saman was digging in the desert near the Jabal al-Tarif mountains. He was looking for sabak. It was a natural fertilizer. It was bat guano and nitrate-rich soil. Peasants used it for their crops. He was digging with his brother and other men from the village. His pickaxe struck something hard. He found a red clay jar. It was sealed with bitumen. This was a type of natural tar. Someone had sealed that jar a very, very long time ago, and they had buried it on purpose. Muhammad Ali hesitated to open it. In the local tradition of Upper Egypt, sealed jars could contain jinn. They were spirits. They were genies. They were supernatural entities that could bring curses. But he also thought it might contain gold. He hoped for hidden treasures, or relics of the pharaohs. Greed overcame fear. He raised his pickaxe, and he smashed it against the jar. Inside there was no gold, there were no jewels, there were no ancient coins. There was something infinitely more valuable. It contained 13 papyrus codices. These were ancient books. They were bound in leather. A total of 52 texts. They were written in Coptic. This was the last form of the ancient Egyptian language. These texts dated back to the 4th century AD. These texts had been deliberately buried. They were hidden. They were preserved. Waiting. They waited for 1600 years. Why were they buried? In 367 AD, Athanasius of Alexandria wrote his famous Festal Letter number 39. Athanasius was the Bishop of Alexandria. He was one of the most powerful figures in the early church. He was a man exiled 5 times by different emperors for his theological positions, but he always returned. He never yielded. In that letter, For the first time in history, he listed the exact 27 books that form the New Testament today: Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, the Acts of the Apostles, the letters of Paul, the letters of Peter, John, James, Jude, and the Revelation. Those were the 27, not one more, not one less. And he commanded, "Let no mention be made of the apocryphal books. They are an invention of heretics, who write them as they will and assign them ancient dates. By presenting them as ancient writings, they create a pretext for deceiving the simple. An invention of heretics, they called them. Deceiving the simple, they claimed. That is what they said about these texts. That is what they said about those who read them. But someone disagreed. Someone decided these words were too important to destroy. Someone, probably monks from a nearby monastery, took these forbidden texts. They placed them in a clay jar. They sealed it carefully. And they buried it in the desert. They were hidden for the future. They were preserved for a time when the world was ready to receive them. And 600 years later, a peasant searching for fertilizer fulfilled the prophecy. The words resurfaced. Among those texts was the Gospel of Thomas. It contained 114 sayings attributed to Jesus. These were sayings the Church had wanted to erase forever. From those 114 sayings, we have selected 33. These are the 33 most dangerous. These are the ones that most directly contradict official doctrine. These are the ones that most clearly promise what Word 17 promises, that you can become like Jesus. You can achieve this now. It is possible in this life. It is possible within this body. What you just heard about Word number 17 and the story of how these teachings were forbidden and rediscovered, that is just the beginning. I have prepared a digital book that delves deeper into all of this. It is called Why the Apostles Hid the Most Dangerous Words of Jesus. It is not just a curious read. It is a complete map. It is a map toward the awakening these words promise. It includes the 33 words with a deep analysis of each one. It includes the complete historical context of the Council of Constantinople. It includes verifiable academic sources so you can research on your own. It includes practical exercises to apply these teachings in your daily life. The link is in the first pinned comment. Click there, download it now, and if you are among the first to do so, return and write truth in the comments. That will be your commitment. Your commitment is not to me, it is to yourself. It is to your own awakening. Now that you understand word number 17, the other 32 will make perfect sense, because they all prepare the way for it, or they expand it, or they apply it. They are like a map with different routes to the same destination. Let us look at them grouped by category. We will not examine them one by one because that would take hours. Instead, we will look at them in thematic groups that reveal the pattern. The first 8 words establish your identity. They reveal who you truly are, not who they told you you were, not who you think you are, not the roles you play. They reveal who you are at the deepest level. The first word is the most important of all. Word 1. Whoever finds the meaning of these words will not taste death. They will not taste death. From the very first saying, from the first line, Jesus is promising immortality. But notice something crucial. It does not say whoever hears these words, and it says whoever finds the meaning. Hearing is not enough. Reading is not enough. Memorizing is not enough. You must understand. You must awaken to the meaning. You must find the truth within the words, not just the words themselves. Word 2. Whoever seeks should not stop seeking until they find. When they find, they will be disturbed. When they are disturbed, they will marvel, and they will reign over the all. They will reign over the all. They will not be a subject. They will not be a servant. They will not be a slave. They will reign. They will reign like a king. They will reign like someone who has reclaimed their power. Notice the sequence. Seek, find, be disturbed, marvel, reign. Awakening is not comfortable at first. It disturbs. It destabilizes everything you thought you knew. But then comes the marvel. And then comes the power. Word 3. If your guides tell you the kingdom is in heaven, then the birds will precede you. If they tell you it is in the sea, then the fish will precede you. But the kingdom is within you and outside of you. The kingdom is within you. It is not in Rome. It is not in Jerusalem. It is not in a temple. It is not in a church. It is not in a geographical place you must pilgrimage to. It is within. It was always there. Word 4. When you know yourselves, you will be known, and you will know that you are children of the living Father. You are children of the living Father. You are not servants, you are not slaves, you are not sinners, dragging eternal guilt. You are children, you possess the same nature as the Father. A king's son is a prince, a child of God is divine. The next 4 words deepen this identity. Word 5. Recognize what is before your face, and what is hidden will be revealed to you. Word 6. If you do not fast from the world, you will not find the kingdom. Word 7. I am the light that is over all. From me came the all, and to me the all returns. Split a piece of wood, and I am there. Lift a stone, and you will find me. Find it. Word 8. Whoever is near me is near the fire. Whoever is far from me is far from the kingdom. Do you see the pattern? Your identity is not that of a sinner needing external salvation. Your identity is that of a divine being. You need to remember who you are. The kingdom is within you. Light exists in everything. It is in the wood. It is in the stone. It is in every particle of existence. And you are a child of the living Father. You always were. The next 8 words reveal your power. Once you know who you are, you discover what you can do. Word 9. If they ask you, where have you come from? Tell them, we have come from the light. We came from the place where light originated by itself. You come from the light. You are not a fallen creature. You were not cast out of paradise. You are not a biological accident in an indifferent universe. You are not a sinner, born condemned. You come from the source. You come from the primordial light. You come from the origin of everything. Word 10. The heavens will pass away. What is above them will also pass away. The dead are not alive. The living will not die. The living will not die. Who are the living? They are not those who breathe. They are not those who have a pulse. They are those who have awakened. They are those who have understood their true nature. They are those who know they are eternal consciousness, not the temporal body. Those are the living, and they will not die. Word 11. If 2 make peace with each other in a single house, they will say to the mountain, move, and it will move. This means moving mountains. This is real power. This is power that transforms reality. But note the condition: 2 making peace in a single house. The house is you. The 2 are your divine nature and your human nature. They are your eternal essence and your temporal form. Heaven and earth reside within you. When they unify, when they stop warring, when they make peace, then mountains move. The impossible becomes possible. Word 12. Blessed are the solitary and the chosen, for you will find the kingdom. From it you came, and to it you will return. You come from it, you will return to it. This is apokatastasis. It is the universal restoration. This is the doctrine the Council of 553 called monstrous. Everyone comes from the source. Everyone returns to the source. There is no eternal damnation. There is only a long road back home. Some travel it quickly. Others take eons, but everyone arrives. Word 13. When you make the 2 into one, what is inside like what is outside, and what is above like what is below, then you will enter the kingdom. Word 14. Whoever has known the world has found a corpse. The world is not worthy of him. Word 15. Whoever has become rich, let him become king. Whoever has power, let him renounce it. Word 16. There is light within a person of light. That person illuminates the entire world. If it does not shine, it is darkness. You are light, or you are darkness. There is no middle ground. There is no gray. And when you are light, when you shine, when you awaken, you illuminate the entire world. You illuminate not just yourself. You illuminate everyone around you. After word 17, the most dangerous one, come the words of practice and union. They teach how to live this truth daily. They show how to apply it. They reveal how to embody it. Word 18. Show me the stone the builders rejected. That is the cornerstone. What was rejected becomes the foundation. The teachings the church rejected, buried, and forbade, these are precisely the ones that contain the deepest truth. The stone they rejected is the cornerstone. Without it, the building cannot stand. Word 19. I will give you what no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no hand has touched, and what has not entered into the human heart. It is something beyond the senses. It is beyond thought. It is beyond imagination. It is beyond everything you can conceive. Word 20. Be passers-by. They are only 2 words, but they are devastating in their simplicity. Do not cling to the world. Do not build fortresses. Do not accumulate treasures that moths devour. Pass through. You are travelers, not permanent residents. You are tourists in time, not citizens of any earthly nation. Word 21. The first will be last, and they will become one. Word 22. I will choose you 1 out of 1,000 and 2 out of 10,000. You will stand as a single one. Word 23. If you bring out what is within you, what you have will save you. If you do not have it within you, what you do not have will kill you. This is crucial. If you bring out what is within, what you have will save you. If you repress it, what you do not have will kill you. Repressed truth sickens you. Unexpressed potential rots. Hidden gifts turn into poison. But when you bring out what is within, when you express your true nature, when you let your light shine, it saves you. Word 24. Love your brother as your soul. Guard him as the apple of your eye. Word 25. You see the speck in your brother's eye, but you do not see the plank in your own eye. These are concrete practices. They demand concrete love. They require honest self-examination. This is not just mystical contemplation. It also requires action in the world. The final 8 words speak of union. This is the ultimate goal of the path. Word 26. If you do not observe the Sabbath as the Sabbath, you will not see the Father. This means true rest. It is not a day of the week. It is not a religious obligation. It is a state of being. It is rest in pure consciousness. It is the eternal Sabbath. Word 27. I stood in the midst of the world and manifested myself to them in the flesh. I found them all drunk. I found no one thirsty. Everyone was drunk. They were drunk on the world. They were drunk on illusion. They were drunk on drama. They were drunk on desire. They were drunk on fear. No one was thirsty for truth. Are you among the thirsty? Do you thirst for something more? That is why you are here. That is why you have reached this point in the video. The drunk ones left long ago. You remain. Word 28. My soul grieved for the children of humankind. They are blind in their hearts and they do not see. Word 29. Where there are 3 gods, they are gods. Where there are 2 or 1, I am with that one. Word 30. No prophet is accepted in his own town. No physician heals those who know him. Word 31. A city built on a high and fortified mountain cannot fall. It cannot remain hidden. Word 32. What you hear in your ear, proclaim it from the rooftops. Do not hide the truth. Do not keep it to yourself. Share it. That is what we are doing here. We are proclaiming it from the digital rooftops of the 21st century. And now the final word. Word 33. No one lights a lamp to put it under a basket or in a hidden place. Instead, they put it on a stand, so that those who enter may see the light. Be light. Do not hide your light. The world needs it. It has never needed it as much as it does now. These are the 33 words. These are the words Justinian wanted to destroy. These are the words Athanasius called an invention of heretics. These are the words buried for 600 years. These are the words a farmer searching for fertilizer returned to the world. These are the words you now know. Where are you watching this from? I would like to know. The ebook, Why the Apostles Hid Jesus' Most Dangerous Words, has been downloaded in 89 countries so far. Mexico, Spain, Argentina, Colombia, Peru, Chile, the United States, Venezuela, Ecuador, Guatemala, and dozens more. Each download represents a person who decided to go deeper. Each download is another seeker who joined the path. Add your country to the list. Download the ebook now. The link is in the first pinned comment. After you download it, come back here. Leave your location in the comments. I want to see how many countries we reach. I want to see how far these forbidden words travel. If you have not already, subscribe and hit the notification bell. The next video will reveal something. It will perfectly complement what you learned today. It is called The 7 Miracles of Jesus the Church Does Not Want You to Understand. I promise you this, when you watch it, everything you learned today will take on an even deeper meaning. Now, we must be completely honest. We must listen to the critical voices. Not all scholars agree with the interpretation I just presented. It would be dishonest of me to pretend no other perspective exists. Doctor, Bart Ehrman from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill is one of the most respected New Testament scholars in the world. He has written dozens of books. He has appeared in documentaries on National Geographic, the History Channel, and the BBC. He is a serious scholar. He offers this warning. The Gospel of Thomas, in the form we have it, was likely composed in the early to mid-2nd century AD. Some individual sayings may be very old, even as old as or older than the canonical Gospels. The document itself reflects later theological concerns. We cannot simply assume that everything it states represents the literal words of the historical Jesus. It is a text that reflects a particular Christian community. It has its own beliefs and practices. It is a valid warning. We must take it seriously. Dr. John P. Meyer from the University of Notre Dame is even more skeptical. He has dedicated his life to reconstructing the figure of the historical Jesus. His work, A Marginal Jew, is considered one of the most rigorous academic investigations on the subject. He states, "The Gospel of Thomas cannot be considered a reliable source. It cannot reconstruct the teachings of the historical Jesus. It is a Gnostic text, or at least proto-Gnostic. It projects later theological ideas onto the figure of Jesus. Using it as if it were a fifth gospel, equivalent to the canonical ones, is methodologically problematic." Are these critics right? Partially. It is true that the Gospel of Thomas, as we know it, is a 2nd century document. It is also true that the canonical Gospels are 1st century documents. They were written decades after Jesus' death. Mark, the oldest, was written around 70 AD, 40 years after the crucifixion, 40 years of oral tradition, 40 years of stories passed by word of mouth. They transformed, adapted, and evolved. Matthew and Luke were written in the 80s or 90s, 50 or 60 years later. John, the latest, possibly after 90 AD or even 100 AD, 60 or 70 years later. None of the 4 canonical Gospels was written by an eyewitness. None of them. Mark did not know Jesus personally. The author of Matthew was likely not the Apostle Matthew. Luke expressly states that he compiled testimonies from others. And John. Well, John's authorship has been debated for centuries, so the question is not whether the Gospel of Thomas is perfect, literal, or historically impeccable. No ancient text is. The question is this: why were some texts canonized and others burned? Was it due to criteria of antiquity? No, it was not. The Gospel of Thomas is as old as the Gospel of John. Both are likely from the same period. Was it due to criteria of apostolic authorship? No, it was not. Thomas is also attributed to an apostle, Judas Thomas the twin. Was it due to criteria of doctrinal coherence? Ah, there lies the key. Texts that taught dependence on the institution were included. Texts that taught spiritual autonomy were excluded. Texts that said, "You need the church for salvation," got in. Texts that said, "The kingdom is within you," were left out. Texts that said, "Jesus is the only way and you must worship him," got in. Texts that said, "You can become like Jesus," which were burned. That is not a conspiracy theory. It is a documented historical fact. We have the minutes from the councils. We have the letters from the bishops. We have the decrees from the emperors. That does not mean the canonical Gospels are false. It means they are one perspective. A perspective that won. A perspective that had the support of imperial power. A perspective that became the official version. The 33 words you heard today represent another perspective. One that lost. One that was suppressed. One that lay buried for 600 years. Perhaps, just perhaps, it contained something we needed to hear. Something the world needs now more than ever. Now, here is something almost no one mentions. It connects all the pieces. The central message of the 33 words is this: your true nature is divine. The kingdom is within you. You can awaken to an identity that transcends death. This message is not exclusive to Christianity. It is a pattern. It appears in all the great mystical traditions of the world. In the Upanishads of India, written centuries before Jesus, we find the phrase, Tat Tvam Asi. You are that. You are Brahman. You are the ultimate reality. There is no separation between your essence and the essence of the universe. In Mahayana Buddhism, we find the teaching of Buddha nature. All beings possess Buddha nature. All can awaken. All can achieve enlightenment. It is not the privilege of a select few. It is the birthright of all. In Sufism, the mystical tradition of Islam, we find the declaration of Mansur al-Hallaj, Ana al-Haq, I am the truth, I am God. For that declaration, al-Hallaj was executed in 922 AD, crucified, dismembered, burned, the same fate as the words of Jesus we are discussing, the same message, the same persecution. In Taoism, we find the teaching, the Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao, but every being is an expression of the Tao. It is not separate from it. It is not created by it as something different, an expression of it. In Jewish Kabbalah, the mystical tradition of Judaism, we find the teaching, the human soul is a spark of the divine. It is not created from nothing. It emanates from the source. It is part of God itself, the same message, again and again. In traditions separated by thousands of miles and thousands of years, the same message, your true nature is divine. And the same response from institutions, prohibit, persecute, destroy. Why? Because this message threatens the very same type of power. It is the power that depends on you believing you are separate from the divine. It is the power that depends on you needing an intermediary. It is the power that depends on your fear of death. The 33 words you heard today are the Christian version of a universal truth. It is a truth that has been suppressed in every tradition, but it keeps resurfacing, again and again. You cannot destroy what is written in the soul. The Nag Hammadi vessel proved that, buried for 600 years, and the truth resurfaced, because it always will, it re-emerges. 472 years ago, Emperor Justinian believed he could control the truth. He convened a council. He gathered 165 bishops. He issued 14 anathemas. He imprisoned the Pope for 8 years. He ordered the destruction of texts. He burned libraries. He persecuted heretics. For 600 years, it seemed he had won. The 33 words were forgotten. They lay buried in the Egyptian desert. They were sealed in a clay jar. They waited. They waited in silence. They waited in darkness. But in December 1945, a farmer searching for fertilizer changed history. His pick struck the jar. The words resurfaced. It was as if they had waited for the right moment. It was as if they knew the 20th century, with its world wars and existential crises, needed to hear them. It was as if they knew the 21st century, with its spiritual void and desperate search for meaning, would need them even more. Today, you have heard them. The 33 words of Jesus the Vatican declared dangerous, especially number 17. It says you can become like him. It promises fire will not burn you. It reveals you were never mortal to begin with. What you truly are cannot be born or die. You are eternal consciousness playing at being a temporary human. This is not for someday in the future. It is not when you die and go to heaven. It is not when the final judgment comes now. It happens the moment you understand who you truly are. The question is not whether these words are true in a literal historical sense. No ancient text can be proven that way. The real question is different. The question is, do they resonate with you? When you hear the kingdom is within you and does something awaken? When you hear you can become like me, does something activate? When you hear whoever finds the meaning of these words will not taste death, does something resonate deep within? If that is the case, then the words have fulfilled their purpose. It does not matter who wrote them. It does not matter exactly when. It does not matter if they reflect the literal words of Jesus or the understanding of a community that followed him. What matters is what they awaken within you. What matters is if they point you toward a truth you already knew but had forgotten. What matters is if they help you remember. And that truth, no one can forbid it. No council can stop it. No emperor can stop it. No institution can stop it. They can burn the books. They can persecute the teachers. They can bury the manuscripts. But they cannot touch what is written in your soul. That is yours. It always was. It always will be. If you have made it this far, you are exactly the kind of person for whom this channel exists. Not everyone reaches the 50-minute mark of a video about forbidden words from 500 years ago. Only the seekers understand. Only the thirsty remain. Only those who know there is something more will stay. 3 things before you go. First, download the ebook, Why the Apostles Hid Jesus' Most Dangerous Words, if you have not done so already. This is not a sales pitch. It is essential context for everything we discuss here. It includes the complete 33 words with a deep analysis of each. It includes the historical context I did not have time to cover in this video. It includes verifiable academic sources so you can research on your own. It includes practical exercises to apply these teachings. The link is in the first pinned comment. Download it now. Second, subscribe and hit the notification bell. The next video will reveal the 7 miracles of Jesus the Church does not want you to understand. If what you heard today impacted you, I promise that video will take you even deeper. It will connect the pieces in ways you do not expect. Third, consider becoming a member of the channel. The ebook is powerful, but membership gives you access to research, sources, and discussions we can never make fully public. Our inner circle is already connecting dots most will never see. They are accessing material I cannot put in public videos. They are participating in conversations that go beyond what YouTube allows. If you feel the call, join us. The join button is below the video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying until the end. Thank you for being one of the thirsty in a world of the intoxicated. Type truth in the comments if this resonated with you. I want to know how many of us there are. I want to know how far these words, which Justinian tried to destroy, truly reach. I will see you in the next investigation. And remember this, the kingdom is within you. It was always there. You only needed to remember.